Hey guys, Derick here with Aros Mackey. We wanted to do a little rundown of the vehicle that is a part of the giveaway for the Adaptive Ops operator giveaway. Maybe Aros can run us down a little bit on it.
Yes, you bet. So, yeah, this is the 2017 Ford Explorer. It is my mission vehicle, and well, one of them, and it is it's been so awesome. It's saved a lot of lives. There's a lot of cool things about it that make it a perfect mission vehicle, and now it's an opportunity for one of you to actually own this, to be the next owner of this mission vehicle. One of the features that I want to show you is something that is used to keep us safe as operators, and it's hiding our information from traffickers when we're in stationary surveillance. I'll have you watch here.
This is cool. Check this out. What license plate?
Yeah, now it's not something that you can drive around. That it's illegal to drive around like that. But when we're just in stationary surveillance, it's a way to hide our information from traffickers when we're doing surveillance at brothels or places.
If you got a cooler party trick than that, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, and that's, if you come on over here, that's controlled by a little box up top here. And then I have some switches. This switch here changes the headlight configuration. So when I'm on surveillance and the vehicle I'm following turns and goes out of view, then I can flip the switch and it changes my headlight the way they look. So when I get behind them again, they'll think it's a different vehicle. And then this switch here kills my brake lights, so that if I'm doing surveillance at night and I accidentally hit the brakes, then my brake lights aren't going to come on if I touch them. And then this switch turns off all the lights inside, makes it so it's dark, and it also disables the traction control so that I can do J-turns when I'm making an escape. And then inside, right here, there's the Cobra dash cam and radar detector. That'll stay in there. I've got it wired into the vehicle itself. And then also it has a 3-inch lift with oversized BFG tires. And I wasn't doing it for the purpose of just style. It's so that if I had to get over curbs or anything like that, then it, have a little bit more clearance.
It gives you more options to follow or get away.
These have the electronic start with starts up from your key fob if you need it to.
Well, for you those that don't know, this is the sports package.
Yes.
Sports package comes as loaded as they come, right?
It is, yeah. I think it's the highest version.
But also twin turbos.
Right.
It's got twin turbos in it.
Yeah, it has the EcoBoost, which makes it so fun to drive. I have the SCT tune, so it's right around that 400 horsepower, and it has the turbo blow-off valves, so it just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's like some Vin Diesel stuff. I mean, that's pretty much the rundown. We should have had Paul here. That's my mistake. Paul from Voodoo Gunworks. And they're going to do a rifle, so as part of the giveaway. And then with Southern Utah Safe Involved with my company, we're going to give away a Fort Knox safe as well. So that's the operator package. It is a real vehicle. You got $20, you got $50, you got $100. It's really going to help these guys fight trafficking and fund what they can do and fund different missions. And you're getting a car, a badass rifle, and a really nice safe to keep it all in.
This really is no joke. This is real. Somebody's going to get this. We're pretty much giving it away just so we can get a little bit of operating money to go out and save lives. It's worth it for people to just donate that money anyway. It might not be your own family member that is being saved, but I can promise you the families and the souls that we get out of these situations, they're eternally grateful for every dollar that people give.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Derick here with the Derick Podcast.
We're going to take a little bit of your time today. Thanks for choosing us to listen to. I've got a really important one today. I've been looking forward to this one since our guest agreed to do it. We've also got a giveaway that we'll have Mallory cut in before this. We're giving away, well, I'll let him talk about it a little bit. So today our guest, we have Aros. Thanks for coming, man.
You bet. It's so great to be here with you, Derick.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So Aros has a mission vehicle that you're giving away. Just give us one or two cool things about it, since we'll kind of have a video before this.
Okay. Yeah. So this vehicle, I personally developed it for surveillance. It's designed to keep you safe while you're doing surveillance.
Sure.
It's an operator vehicle.
And it's still functional. Everything you have on it's still functional.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I got back a day ago from a long mission in that vehicle. And then I actually announced yesterday that I retired it from the field.
Oh, cool.
Because the drawing is coming near and I just needed to get it ready for the next owner.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Aros is actually giving away a mission vehicle. It's a 2017.
That's correct.
2017 Explorer Sport. And then Voodoo Gunworks is doing a custom rifle. And then Southern Utah Safe and Vault, my company, we're doing a Fort Knox Maverick gun safe. So you'll have something to keep that rifle in and the keys to the car. Keep it all safe.
It's a really cool operator package for sure.
I'm excited for it. Mm-hmm. We're doing this podcast because that drawing will be in about a week. Like this will hit tomorrow, so it'll hit today when you watch it. But so the drawing is September 17th. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you need to do, we'll have the link to the website as well. You're going to go to Adaptive Ops' website. That's Aros's, your company.
That's right.
And then there'll be a tab that says the giveaway. Is that what it is? Or you scroll down?
Yes, it's kind of right in the center. It's a photo in the center of the website that indicates, the raffle.
Extremely
drawing.
Easy to find.
It is. Yeah, just go to the website and you'll see the link and just click on it.
And then quick rundown of what the giveaway is going to do. So you can give $20 or more, right? Mm-hmm. And then that money goes to what?
Fighting human trafficking.
Mm-hmm. Funding missions. Mm-hmm. Really anything that you guys need to pay for, right?
Yeah. And when I say fighting human trafficking, we're not a PR organization. We are literally answering the call for help.
Yeah.
And we're risking our lives and we're going into the dark alleys and dark streets, and I find girls behind dumpsters. We find them under bridges. And when I say we, I have people that support me and back me up, but it's usually the mom or dad that's the operator helping me. I train them up and guide them, and when we're in the field or in the dark alleys and streets, it's usually a dad or maybe a brother of the lost loved one.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool. So they're experiencing the whole thing with you and going through it all.
Right. The part of the real significance of adaptive ops is before I was doing this, those families were still doing that. The families they don't know how to navigate a dark alley or a dark street or homeless camps under bridges and things like that. They didn't know, and they were just doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly dangerous. But they're in the human trafficking industry on the state side in America. We tend to not like using the word rescue. Survivors and survivor leaders, they don't like to focus on that side of it. The recovery is a good word to use. It's more focused. The terminology needs to be focused on helping these girls and boys heal.
Yeah.
And become survivors.
Well, and once you get them out of that situation, that's
the middle of the road. I mean, you still have a road to go down to recover.
Yeah, it's a long road, a long process. But the times that I do use rescue here in the U.S. is I'm rescuing families. I'm keep helping that mom or dad or even grandpas be safe. I had one grandpa tell me, he gave me a big hug, and he said, I was heading down because we had an idea where she was. I was heading down, and then I found out that you took the case and you were going. And he was just so grateful. I felt it because he was going to do it. He was going to potentially sacrifice his own life to go into a dangerous situation. So yeah, we're rescuing families is what Adaptive Ops is about.
And that's what all this is going to. This is all going to reunite families, to help find people. And not only that, I mean, getting the money side of it is great, but something I've always admired about you is you're giving up your time to go do all of this. And I mean, obviously risking your safety, but just leaving home, leaving family, leaving all of that to go do all of this. And I think that's awesome. Yeah. Maybe what we need to do is get me out there one of these days.
Let's go.
I think I don't know. I'm kind of scared to do it, but I think just to have that experience is something like you've never had before, right? I mean, there's no way to replicate that.
Yeah, it's true. And it's not for everybody.
Sure.
It's one of those things that even myself, I feel like there's a call to do it.
Yeah.
If you have that, if you feel like you're called to do something like this, that's the only way you can, because you're going to have an incredible amount of passion.
True.
To do it. If you do not have the passion for it, if it's just an interest, this is what I deal with all the time. I get people that want to look cool or try to launch their own thing with this because they think it's cool or it's a future business for them.
Yeah.
And they get excited about it. And I welcome the help or the skill sets if they want to bring something to help what I'm doing. But what really ends up happening is people are fascinated with it. It's like, human trafficking, does this actually exist?
Yeah.
Is that real? And then they'll come and hang out with me and learn how I do what I do, and then maybe go on a mission or two. I'll do intel missions or outreach missions, and I'll take them on it so they can get close to kind of see. And then they lose interest. They're like, okay, I understand it. And then the intrigue is gone because now they know, okay, It is real. And I do see how it works. It is dark. It is hard. I have my business to run. And so, that was cool. I understand it now. I'm out.
Yeah.
That is the most common thing that happens with me. And, that just people are intrigued. And then when they learn, they're no longer intrigued, and then they forget about it. And so, and I'm not against that. It's okay. I understand it, but I want people to know that if you don't feel like there's a call to do this, then you'll probably be that person.
Yeah.
And it's okay. But
get your toes wet, and then that was good enough.
Yeah.
Or as far as you would want to take it.
Mm-hmm. But if it's a call for you, you're going to have a different level of passion.
Yes. You're
going to be a lot more patient with the survivors or the direct victim. And it's important for your listeners to understand the difference between a victim and a survivor. A victim is currently being trafficked, being exploited, whether they realize it or not.
Okay.
They're being manipulated and forced and coerced to do things. That's a victim of human trafficking and of sex trafficking, when they're forced and coerced to do that. When we get them away, from the trafficker. Now they're a survivor. You don't communicate like if we're looking for a safe house. Hey, I've got a victim, a human trafficking victim with me. We need a secure place to keep her safe so she can get some rest tonight. No, we've got a survivor. And so it's important to understand that verbiage.
Yeah, differentiate the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we don't want to focus on the trauma. We want to get these girls on a path to true healing. And a lot of times also, people will look at the survivors and victims as low skill level. When in reality, some of them have pretty good education, talents, and abilities. And it's like most of the time, people who are trying to get into the aftercare side of human trafficking, they're like, you know what? Let's go help them become nail technicians, or let's help them do things and it's kind of become a stigma, which, I mean, those are professional careers, and they're great careers too, actually. But for some reason, people always just think those are the areas that they need to go. And when in reality, I know a survivor that became a police officer.
Really?
And others become attorneys. And they have great talents and they are true souls that have amazing opportunities to add to communities and to the country itself.
Yeah, with different skill sets. I mean, that's the best way to put it, I think. And
with that, so you mentioned the drawing is on September 17th.
Yeah.
That was by design.
Okay.
And I'm hoping we reach the limit. We have to get it to 30 grand based on the official rules. The raffle has to get to 30 grand in order to do this. I think we're going to make it. We're at 23,000 or something, which is disheartening, because I mean, the stuff that we're doing here should be so much higher.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's barely
over 30 grand worth of stuff.
It is, yeah, and it's going to be given away, you know, and I'm okay with that. That's our commitment. That's what we've done. Somebody's going to walk away with an amazing package soon.
Sure.
But September 17th is Constitution Day.
Okay.
And I don't know if we'll go into much of my past, my history.
I've got it on here, your timeline from your training.
Okay, but the significance of that is I am a constitutional purist. I love the Constitution of the United States. I spoke on it at a TEDx event back in 2012. I was a political scientist at one point, but and one day I might be a statesman. Maybe I'll run for office one day. I can't stand the thought of having to deal with politics, because I understand it, and I never want to be seen as a politician. But I have my true heroes, who were our founders, the true statesmen in our country, and I love freedom. Freedom is so important, and I fought legislation that was harming our freedoms. I was going to go to DC and be and help fight for our freedoms politically, and I found that I'm getting that fulfilled by doing it individually. I can actually do more for freedom by helping secure the freedom for individuals.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what I was going to transition it to. I was going to say,
Really?
well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's why September 17th is the day for the drawing, because it's Constitutional Day. The greatest formula of freedom the world has ever known was ratified on that day, and freedom is what we do.
I love it. That's great.
So,
well, now that we've kind of gone through, I think I've always wanted you on the podcast from day one. I messaged you and said, hey, I'm starting this. Would you be a guest at some point in time? Right.
Yeah.
And now we kind of was like, okay, well, this is the perfect time to have you on and try and boost this and try and get the more eyes, more push on this website giveaway. But let's back up a little bit, because you've got a long, diverse history of education and training and, I mean, all kinds of stuff. Maybe let's back up on why, back up, right? And talk about like why you got into that side of education, where you got your trainings, what you're trained in. Like I know you do concealed carry classes, and maybe just let's kind of round that out a little bit so people can know your background.
Okay. While going to school as a political scientist, I went through a social issues class.
Okay.
And I took the class from my friend, my friend. He was a professor at the time, Michael Tatum. It was up at BYU, Idaho. And during the social issues class, we studied terrorism and we studied human trafficking. And when I went through those topics, I knew that that's where I needed to be. But who was I? I was a tubby political scientist. And
well, you're what, 1920?
No, actually, I started late in this direction. Yeah,
Okay.
I was 31 years old.
Okay.
So
Though I'm 32
a new
and I
freshman.
don't know what I want to be.
Well, you're right there. Man, this might be it. But as a new freshman at 31 years old, and when I took that class, that's when I knew things were going to be different. I found that I was able to research with passion.
Okay.
And my papers, everything was just different. And then I had decided, okay, what do I want to do with my political science degree when I get it? And so I was going to go to DC and help our military and law enforcement lives become more efficient, particularly those practitioners that are countering human trafficking and also countering terrorism. And I was going to go to DC, and that was going to be my purpose.
Okay.
Is to help those guys be more safe and more efficient in what they do. And then I ended up having an opportunity to go into an intelligence master's degree.
Okay.
And before I did that, a week before I went that direction, I was going to do a master's in management degree. I was going on the business side.
Okay.
And it didn't feel right when I was trying to set up my classes. It was like, from looking at managing time, teams, meetings, interviewing, negotiating, delegating, it did not resonate with me. I was like, that's not me. That's not what I can do that stuff, but it's not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, your passion, that's what you said earlier. That's what it is.
That's right.
And you were drawn to it.
Mm-hmm. And then when I found this Intel program, I started looking through it, and I was like, yes to every class, whether on all forms of intelligence, human intelligence, signals intelligence, and all intelligence management and operations intelligence. Everything was like, okay, I need those classes now.
Yeah.
And then when I started getting into there, then I was like, okay, I need to be in the field. And then that's when I decided to become a private investigator and started applying the research skill sets and methods and strategies of the intelligence community as a private investigator. And I was largely quite successful as a private investigator. There was one point that I was one of the busiest private investigators in the Western United States.
I believe it.
And my bill rate was twice, if not three times higher than most PIs, just because I was so busy. And I would just tell them, look, if you want me to do this case, it's going to have to cost you, because I'm going to have to drop these other cases.
Yeah.
The minimum I'll do it is for this amount. And they're like, okay. And they write out their retainer, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go do it. And I attributed a lot of it to my education. And then I started feeling like I knew those skill sets were not just natural, or they were natural on more of a God-given thing. I knew it wasn't. If it was just Aros, then it was, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I felt like I was being blessed with skill sets, and I no longer felt right. I didn't like just doing it for money. I found that I was helping insurance companies save money by catching fraud artists. But there was no true meaning behind it. I felt, yeah, it's good to get fraud artists off the streets and stuff like that, but
That didn't really like dig at you.
Yeah.
That didn't really draw you.
yeah, it was like the thankfulness. I felt like they were saying, thank you for saving us money.
Yeah.
Not that was something special.
Yeah.
Because it was special to me, because I knew I couldn't have naturally done that. You know, there was a God-given skill set that was happening with it. And so I decided to start using it toward missing person work. And you have to understand, as a private investigator, police officers and private investigators, they don't necessarily like missing persons work.
Okay.
Because it's hard. There's so many missing people, and it's completely unpredictable how many hours it's going to take to find that person. So if you're a private investigator that charges somebody by the hour, how do you bill them for a missing person?
Yeah.
I have cases that are 2 years old. Sometimes I find the person on the same day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
How do
impossible
you
to
come up
bill
with
it.
the dollar amount?
Yeah, and so I did that for a little while, creating a kind of a standard bill rate, and then I would obviously put in far more than what they paid to do that, and I did that just so I could start getting into the missing person work.
Okay.
And then you mentioned earlier that I'm away from my family. I'm doing what people don't understand that want to jump into this. I let people come tag along with me, you know. But what's happening is I have this platform that I've created up here, but it wasn't always like that. It was down here, and there was no platform. And now people can jump on and get up to here, and it's like, oh, okay, I understand. Oh, it's great. Okay, I fixed my fascination with this, and now I'm done. It was uncharted territory mostly from what I was doing, and I had to go out and work and take the cases. And so while I'm hunting for fraud artists and stuff for insurance companies, then when I get home on the weekends, then I will leave to go do my intel missions and observe traffickers, observe the girls that are being trafficked. And there were so many times I was like, what do I do? How do I help them? And then I started doing bail enforcement, and the first human trafficking victim that I was hands-on with was actually a fugitive. And I started seeing the indicators as we were searching for her. It's like, okay, she's breaking natural patterns of a normal person that's a fugitive.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this girl's being exploited. And then when we finally found her, I said, so that place you're staying at, it doesn't seem very safe for somebody like yourself. She's in early 20s, female. And she looked at me, and I could tell that she wanted to say what was going on, but she couldn't. because we were taking her to jail, and her trafficker is going to come get her back out.
Yeah.
And so she needed plausible deniability. And I had studied human trafficking for years up to that point, but I've never been in the field with it.
Had it sitting in front
And
of
so
you.
I knew I couldn't do, what was I going to do? Be the one to go get her back out and take her to my house?
Right.
I realized I had no resources. I had nothing
no network
to do.
in place.
I didn't know a thing of what to do for this girl. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to change that. I'm going to actually start developing networks and ways to where I can deliver real help and help these souls truly heal in this. And so that's where it really started. And then using that authoritative approach taught me quite a lot, about how I can actually confront traffickers. And but I was doing that as volunteer.
Yeah.
I didn't make any money as a bail enforcement agent because that wasn't why I was doing it. That was my training in the field.
But I want to touch on that because I think that people don't understand that you have to go through those things to get to that point. Like you were saying, you're up here, they're down here, and they get to catapult themselves to your level. That's with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, business, family, school, whatever you're going to do, your career. People need to understand that you put in those hours, you put it in, and I did with business or whatever you want to attribute that to, but you don't just get to start out. It's very rare to be able to just trampoline bounce, catapult yourself up to the level where you were at. Mm-hmm. Or I, like if I died tomorrow and a kid, 16-year-old jumps in my spot, he hasn't been through those things to get to where I'm at. They probably can't run all my businesses every day. Like you, like I couldn't just step into your shoes and do what you're doing because I haven't gone through those steps. Mm-hmm. And I think that's as much as of a life lesson as what you're talking about is you have to go through those things and those growing pains to be able to be at that level. Mm-hmm. I mean, you would agree, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people find what I'm doing as they get this kind of romantic idea of doing this work, when in the reality is, this last mission, I mean, I was gone for 5 days or something. And, I took a good solid shower before I left because I knew it wasn't going to happen again for a while. Mm. And I'm sleeping in my vehicle and I'm living on protein and water, and doing, baby wipe baths, to keep yourself, your hygiene mm-hmm. proper. Cause I'll have to come out and talk to people from your little cave.
Yeah.
And even as a private investigator, I would spend 24 hours in my vehicle on a case. And then most of the time, the evidence that broke the case was 15 seconds long. But it took 24 hours of patiently sitting there focused.
Yeah.
If you're sleeping, watching movies, right. whatever,
reading a book,
you're not going to get that evidence. And so it takes true passion and true ability to do this. And anybody can develop that, but are you going to? And that's been my biggest challenge with training people to be on my mission team. I make it very clear how I do what I do, but I haven't found anybody willing to actually do that same thing. And it's understandable.
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion for it, then I'm not blaming them, or I'm not, I understand. There's things I won't do in their industries.
Right.
They go through extreme sacrifices to do what they do. And I'm not willing to do that because it's not my call.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. It's passion is passion. And I want to say this too, because it came to mind when you were talking today. I don't want to interrupt you, but I've heard this. So Eric Thomas, I've listened to Eric Thomas a lot. He does a lot of motivational speaking. He says, he has a quote that says, "You'll never be truly successful until I don't have to give you a dime to do what you do." And when you said that, I've never really understood it, but when you said that, it totally clicked for me.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's you. I mean, that's what you're doing. And when you're driven off of passion, that's the outcome. And so I love that. True. I mean, I don't know. I really enjoyed you saying that. Let me ask you this too. I know you've got guys that help you, operators. Is there a set group of guys that go with you all the time, or is it like, hey, I've got this call, who's available? Like, how does that side of it work? Or do you go by yourself a lot of the time?
All right. So I decided to experiment and try to develop a team back in 2017. Actually, I'm just going to say it. Back in Hurricane Harvey.
Okay.
There were 2 girls that were kidnapped, and I was trying to find them. I was helping the family, and I basically tracked down where they were, and they were on this compound where they were being trafficked in this. It was a 5-acre property with a double wide trailer in the middle of it, and we're talking, fencing all the way around it. It was the information led to intelligence that led to evidence. I had evidence that they were in there. And I called the missing persons investigator that I was working with, and I said, these girls are here. They're likely here. And we need to go in there. And she said, Aros, you realize what's going on. We're overwhelmed. There is no law enforcement response. They're not coming. We're not coming. You're going to have to just do what you need to do. It was almost like martial law.
Yeah.
Right? And I sat there and I prayed heavily. Do I have a bubble shield around me again? Did the Lord want me to go in there? And I felt like I had the option of either going home and developing a team that can do that with me, because that situation will probably come up again.
Sure.
Or I felt like the Lord was pleased with what I had done so far, with the souls that I've helped and got them out of the situation, which were quite a few up to that point. And I felt like I could just go back. I reached my limit of operating on my own, and if I want to just stay there, then that's just fine.
Yeah.
I will be just fine to just do that, or I can develop a team. And I went and started taking my trainings. You mentioned I'm a concealed carry instructor. I'm a private security licensing trainer for the state of Utah as well.
Yeah.
And so I was training a lot of private security people, and getting them into the security field. And I started picking and choosing from certain people in there and inviting them into a larger training, a more advanced training, more of an executive protection style training, but it had a theme, or it had an objective, which was more toward my missions.
Okay.
It was very purposeful. Everything I did was very purposeful, and including the discussion at the very beginning. As soon as they walk through the door into the office and I shake hands with them, I was evaluating, what's this person going to be like on a mission? How are they interacting with other people? Are we going to have friendships? Is this person about themselves? Do they want to be a hero? Do they want to just look cool?
Right.
Or have cool stories, what? And so I started training all these people, and I struggled with, how am I actually going to get them into the field? I'm training them for that one mission that I went through, but I don't know how to get them into the field with me, because I'm incredibly efficient at how I do what I do. I'm not sleeping in hotels, and I'm not, if I can avoid flying, I'll drive in, because I want my own surveillance vehicle, because it's, secured. And so I've done a couple missions where I've taken a team, and I'm telling you, it was incredibly expensive to do that. It's really expensive, because people need to eat. They're not willing to live on protein and water like me.
Sure.
And then they're wondering about the hotels they're going to stay in. And, oh, that's a cockroach infested hotel. We can't stay there. We need to, and I'm like, but this isn't the mission field.
Yeah.
This is our operating area. Why would we want to stay anywhere else? You could peek out the window and observe the trafficking and document it. But yeah, people wanted to stay at nicer places. They're not willing to make that quick sacrifice.
You got to get outside yourself and realize what you're giving up and what you're sacrificing to be able to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and I'm not interested in sightseeing.
Yeah.
I'm there to get the mission done so I can get back home.
Yeah.
Because I like being at home.
Me too.
And so when I'm gone away, I want to desperately get the mission completed. And I will drive all day, all night, and all day to get back home, just to get home.
Yeah.
No stopping for me. I mean, I'll stop and take little power naps and stuff so I can. But so a team, just unless you're going to be willing to live like I do out on the missions, then it's really not going to work as a team. But I have a lot of really great friends and people who I've developed love for, and they've developed love for me. And I know that if I'm in a situation or there's a case that is incredibly high risk and I just need the extra backup, they'll be there. Outside of that, if you really want to know who my team is, it's the people that feel and answer the call for help with me. One of my more recent missions was in Baltimore, and the call for help came. The girl felt like she was going to die, and a person she knew that helped her in the past had received the call for help. She dropped everything and got her plane ticket and flew out there, and we both met in the area because we were both answering the call for help. Mm-hmm. She wasn't planning on being an operator in the field. She was getting close because this is the person that the victim at the time would trust. And we got out there and we brought the FBI in because it was a case with a national-wide trafficking network, and they had a lot of other girls and even children. And so the FBI were like, stand down, we'll go ahead and take this. And then they weren't successful with the evidence. And then they said, that they can't expend any more resources on that case. I'm going to have to do what I need to do. So that gave me the free rein.
Right.
And within 2 hours after that, we got the girl out. But it was myself and that other girl who was in early 30s, petite, pregnant female.
Wow.
That was my operator helping me. Now I have pretty bad to the bone guys that are highly trained, very capable, snake eaters and pipe hitters, the straight killers. But they've never been on a mission with me. And it's not because I don't want them there. It's just it just has never worked where the call, lands on them where they can go. I've made the call, asked some to help before, and they just weren't able to, or
Other obligations or yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, I've missed my children's birthdays. I've missed holidays. I've missed really great things that I cherish because of doing this. But it's because of that things happen. I go and do it because I'm supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Do they understand that? Or do they have some type of understanding about it?
The survivors?
Family. Your
My
family?
Yeah.
I mean, they would have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would just imagine when you're out there and you've got an operator with you that may or may not be capable, mm-hmm. how much stress does that put on you to make sure that everything is, going smooth? I would if me and you went out, mm-hmm. I'm clearly not as capable as you are.
Yeah.
Like, how much stress does that put on you to have someone? I would almost imagine that would hold you back from wanting someone there.
The missions are extremely stressful anyway.
Okay.
When I have somebody with me, it's actually less stressful.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I'll keep it within my realm of control. And the missions, when I'm answering that call for help, I'm telling you, it's fast paced, it's unpredictable and dangerous.
Yeah.
And for myself, I focus on 3 exit strategies. If I don't have 3 exit strategies, I'm considering canceling the mission. So if I get down to 2 exit strategies, it's like, okay, I may need to cancel this. I'm searching for that 3rd exit strategy. If I don't find one, but everything is still moving smoothly, I'll complete the mission. But I'm hunting for that 3rd strategy. If I get down to 1 exit strategy, it's over.
You're out.
I'm calling it. And that is the stuff that keeps me up at night. Because when I'm doing research on these girls who are calling for help, I feel like I know them. I've done every bit of research about them that I could, because I'm looking at who their new friends are and stuff like that. And when it's dark and quiet and I'm back in my own peaceful element, trying to sleep, their faces are coming through my mind. But at the same time, I'm planning on doing this for another 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm not interested in being a one-hit wonder.
Sure.
I'm not going out there to kill the traffickers. I'm out there to unite families.
That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I train at higher levels. So if I got into the hostile situation, then I'm determined to win it. But I train even more. I'm far more cautious about how to not get in that hostile situation. And so I take those 3 simple things with me when I'm into that hostile, walking into the hostile environment. So when I have somebody with me, I'll get close to the hostile environment, but I'll absolutely have 3 exit strategies.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I know I can't go any farther because the exit strategies are going to end sooner because there's somebody new with me, and so it helps me stay in more of a comfort area when I do that.
Okay. 2 things. How does the call get to you, and how many do you think you get on average, let's say a month? When you say I get a call from help, is that the actual person calling you? Is that a mom, a dad, a family member? Is that some type of law enforcement? I mean, how does that call get to you? Or is it all the above?
Believe it or not, I don't want the call to come in. And I try to hide from the calls.
Okay.
But they do come in. And if I wanted them to, I could probably get 100 a week.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I avoid it because if that happened to me, I don't think my heart could take it.
Yeah.
So when a call does come through, then I will, I'll carefully pray about it and look at the situation. And then there's a few different ways I do my work. If the family is truly genuine, the family really loves and are broken up over their lost loved one, there is some real hope there. Anytime you do an intervention with a drug addict, if there's strong family, there's a far better chance at that person recovering. I say addict because the traffickers count on their victims being addicted. If they're not addicted, they'll hold them down and shoot them up.
Until they are.
Mm-hmm. They need them addicted so that after a couple days without, like if they run home, after a couple days, they're going to start going through withdrawals.
Yep.
Their mind doesn't keep, it's not working as well anymore. And they start realizing, that they're starting to feel pain from withdrawals, and okay, maybe their situation wasn't so bad. He was selling her on their future. Maybe she really will have a house with him one day. He does give her safety and protection, a place to sleep and a job. Even though he's taken majority of the money and given her a little bit, It's a job, and she has a little bit of sense of worth on that side of it. And so if these girls don't have family, it's so hard. And I try to help them. I do help them.
Yeah.
The success rate's really low if there's no family. There's girls that I've gone back and recovered them, 5 times.
Really?
And I'll always answer that call for help.
So the whole drug thing is to control them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's control
Mm-hmm.
over them.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only, that's a good point. Like, so if they did get out or get rescued or left on their own,
Mm-hmm.
they have a high possibility of coming back.
Yeah.
Just because of the drug control.
And let me tell you about the industry a little bit, just so I can still answer your question.
Sure.
There are survivor leaders out there. These are the ladies that have gone through trafficking. They have time under their belt. They're healed up themselves as much as they can. And they're a true stalwart person that is going to help the girls recover. And they have the resources because they have the networks. Mm-hmm. Those are the heroes out there that want all the calls for help coming in. And then when they have dangerous calls, then they call me.
Okay.
Sometimes these girls will get through directly to me. If they're calling adaptive ops, it's because they're about to die. They're not calling me because they're mad at their trafficker. They're if they're upset and fighting with their trafficker, people know them as the pimp. I don't like using that term because it's been glorified.
Sure.
Pimp my ride, or you look pimp today. If people knew what I knew about what pimps are. Unless they're referring to them as a pimple,
Sure.
you know, then I just prefer call it what it is. They're a trafficker.
Okay.
And so the trafficker and the victim might be fighting. They're not going to call adaptive ops just because they're mad. I need a better life. I need things changed.
Yeah.
The customers out there, they get used to pornography, then they need something else, so they'll go start, buying girls on the streets. Then that may not be enough, and they need to go farther. And when a customer wants to purchase a girl to rape her, then kill her, when they fail, then the girl calls adaptive ops.
Wow.
And they tell me they're going to die, or this guy tried to kill her. And I'm pretty stern with them and clear about what's going to happen. And when, I'm not going to reveal the exact techniques that I use to get them out.
Yeah.
But they know that their phone is going to be destroyed. It's not coming with them. All communication is going to change, and they're going to be, along for the ride to get to the next safe house, level 1 safe houses, which maybe we can talk about that at some point too. That's what do not exist very well in the country, and is an extremely high need, is level 1 safe housing. But that's an incredibly challenging area, the safe housing. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to get into countering human trafficking. I want to be on the aftercare side of things.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that that's even harder than rescuing. And they start into it and they're out within a year or sooner. They're like, forget this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's dangerous and too risky for me. And they go out of it. They lose their interest pretty quick.
Yeah. Initially, I would think like, okay, well, I can't go on missions with you, but I could probably supply that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you realize, and I don't realize
those safe houses that have been around for over a year. I cherish them and I help them. I go to their galas and I boost them up however they need. If they have a risk or a threat happening around there, they know they can call me and I will send people, or I will come and I will provide the protection they need, because safe houses are so critical for what I'm doing. And I'm not going to pretend to be a professional in every area, because anybody who is claiming that they're educating, rescuing, or providing the aftercare, they're going to be spread too thin, because people who each area is extremely difficult. And and adaptive ops does focus on education and recovery, but the education side is more of covering the surface of it. I'm an educator.
Right.
I taught criminal justice for a couple of years. I love education. I know education prevents trafficking, but we need specialists in that area. And we there's crossover, but adaptive ops is a rescue organization, a recovery organization. That is our true specialty, and it's the recovery and protection. And then we blend into the aftercare. We assist or we help them, but we empower the survivor leaders and those who are specialists in that area. Same with education. I bolster up the survivor leaders that are on the academic side, the education. I support them, and then I focus in on what I do. And so the call for help does come in. Usually, if there's a missing person, if there's a family that has a missing person, they post it on social media, and my personal Facebook has around the 5,000 people or something, and so every time there's a missing person, boom, somebody puts my name on there, like, Aros, look at this one, or whatever, and I do. I'll take a look at it. But here's the thing with missing people. There is anywhere from 3,500 to, it's around 3,500 cases a day are reported to law enforcement in the United States alone. Most of those people are found within the first day. Mm-hmm. Some of them take a little bit longer. Most of them are misunderstandings. But those reports come in, and they're all, taken as that's a missing person. It's scary for the family. That's why they called law enforcement. They're scared. Most of them will be found. 50 a day will never be heard from again.
Wow.
So 50 people today, this day that we're talking, 50 people here in the United States alone will disappear forever. Some of them, it might be a suicide thing, or it might be a kidnapping or an accidental death and disappearance. But most of them, I would say, have gotten caught up with some kind of predator. And all traffickers are predators, but not all predators are traffickers. Mm-hmm. And it's important to understand the difference. And predators are that person with maybe it's a mental health issue, where there's desperation, and they're willing to end their life to assault somebody. They know that they don't have the exit strategies. They're not in it for future business and for making money. They're in it for that,
His end goal.
Mm-hmm. And they're, they're particularly dangerous, but they're also, there's signs of mental health and things like that you can keep yourself safe from them. Traffickers are a dangerous predator because they're in it for the money, and they have a system and a plan. But that also leaves a way to have them be predictable, because they need to make money. So they need a plan to get a person. They have to have a plan to reach out to their customers, or they have the customers reach out to them to communicate with them. They have to have a plan for the money transaction.
Yeah.
They have to have a plan for how to not get in trouble, or how to not get caught by law enforcement, and what they're doing, and how to keep the person exploited. So there's a system and a plan. It's well thought out. It's not like the mental health predator that is bent on, accomplishing what they're wanting to do, whether they have an exit strategy or not.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's dive into the safe house. Level 1 safe house. What does it contain? What type of people are doing it? Is it families? Is it, how does it work? Let's say there's someone out there that maybe can help, and maybe that is something that they can fulfill.
Yeah. Safe houses are so complicated. There are different levels of human trafficking victims. If it's a street girl, a girl, that is working in prostitution or dancing and things like that, then they may not have a drug addiction. They might be needed for a different type of exploitation, or a different type of service, and and so a safe house for them, they may not have certain mental health issues that come along from being trafficking, like dissociative identity disorder or trauma bonding and things. They will I'm no therapist, so I can't say whether they do or not, but I'm just talking about the different levels.
Sure.
There's nobody who is happy with being trafficked. It's just not going to be true. If they're being trafficked, they're not free. I don't believe there's anybody that's happy being trafficked. The girls I work with are at the darkest level of exploitation and trafficking. They are the ones that were trafficked since children by their own families. And the mental health is not stable. And with dissociative identity disorder, DID, or even just the trauma bonding in general, the victims have a love for their abuser, just like a child can still love an abusive father. And anybody who comes along in here and has that rescue mentality, they're going to be completely disappointed, because they're not going to be getting a rescue. It is a one step. We're one step into a long process of recovery, and so we'll come in and get them. That person may turn on us. By design, the traffickers want their victims to not be very good witnesses in court.
Okay.
And so they do mind games on them, and that's where the addiction comes in. If they make their escape, and they're almost always, they're like, I want to press charges. I want to see him go down for what he did to me. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And then the drug addiction side of it comes in, or in the middle of the night they go into a DID mode, and they turn into somebody else, which DID is like it's a survival type of a thing. I had one friend tell me that, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but when she was assaulted as a child, she was thinking of this super kind animal, and that she was there petting that animal. That was her escape.
Huh.
She just broke away from what was happening, and that became her reality. That was her escape mechanism. These survivors, and the victims, they learn how to escape, especially as children. Then they become somebody that can switch really easily, and sometimes they can switch to those different personalities without even knowing it. And sometimes they don't even know that they switched, and then switch back and have no recollection about what happened. And so I've had victims that we've gotten out turn on me completely. I want to press charges. I want him stopped for what he's doing. And the next thing I know, she's denying what happened. And I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
I know what happened to her and what was happening. But now she's denying it. I shouldn't be here. I should be back over there. And
wow.
That's where my life is. And, that's my future. And he's a good man.
And you're like, no, he's not.
This is a very real thing.
Sure.
So now that's important to understand. Now let's go to safe houses.
True. Now you're dealing with her.
You've got a retired couple. Hey, our kids are moved out of the house. It's just us here. We would like to help in human trafficking. Maybe we can be like a safe house. I've got guns in the basement. We're fortified. I've got food storage. I've got everything. So that person that turned on me, what do you think could happen if I took them into that house?
Right. Right.
So I rely on survivor leaders when I get a girl out of the trafficking. I get them linked up with survivor leaders straight away. They should have a survivor leader with them at the safe house. And the people running the safe house, I mean, there is no cut and dry system for how that should go, because there's some girls, they need to be in a family type setting, a peaceful area where they can heal. Mm-hmm. Some girls might need a bubble bath and chocolate. Other girls might need a library, or they might need an area that is just peace and quiet and by themselves, or they might need some interaction with people who really do care, or they might need to go out and serve. There is no solid way to do this. And so people that have tried to do safe houses, they typically don't last because it's hard and dangerous. The threat comes from inside. And these girls, when they get into that, or the threat can come from inside. When these girls get into that DID mode or into the addiction, they'll find a way to reach out to their trafficker and tell them where they are. Now you have a security threat for that house or the person that was trying to help. And I don't want people to not want to help and help with safe housing. But I would never be that person that says, oh, yeah, you can totally do this and put that family at risk.
Right, because you can move the girl, but that's someone's house.
Right.
Like, they live there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not like you can just put them in a different house.
And level 1 safe housing is the hardest because this needs to be an area where they can detox. This is not just, hey, I'm going to bring this girl into this person's basement so they can be safe down there for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
They need medical professionals to diagnose them and to guide them in their detoxing. If you don't have that, they can't get into the level 2 and 3 housing, which is less secure, but more for the girls that are on a real path for recovery. And so you have to have. They won't let me just bring girls in there. I've got some amazing safe houses, and if I call them, they're not going to be like, come over, bring her here. No, they're going to be like, does she need the detox? Well, if she does, you got to go get her detox somewhere.
Yeah.
And with that, can you imagine a safe house that would have more than 3 to 5 girls?
Right. That's a roller coaster, man.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
If they have more than that, in my experience, if they think they're going to have more girls, the ability to have more girls than that, they better be willing to spend a lot of money to have a lot of therapists per. There needs to be like three, in my mind, each therapist needs to be monitoring anywhere from 1 to 3 girls. Any more than that,
yeah.
if you have, there just needs to be high supervision. I know of safe houses where the traffickers have gone in and started having sex with the girls.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So, safe housing is not the charming experience most people think, but it is extremely and incredibly important. And so those who are doing it and doing it for real, I cherish them and I support them and I help them in any way that I can as adaptive ops because I need them.
That's deep, man.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say would be the way that, I guess I'm answering my own question. I was going to say, what would just the common person, how could they help? I guess it's the giveaway. It's things like that. It's supporting safe houses. It's supporting people like you and organizations like you. I mean, financially, is that the best way to support what's going on? Because I know from you, you're not someone that wants to be in the spotlight. You're not someone that wants to ask for help. You just want to do your passion and help people and find people. And
if I could go dark again, I would. If I could just shut down all the social media and everything that I have to do in order to garner some attention, it would be over in a minute.
Yeah.
I've had to start off. When I first started doing this, I had a conversation with somebody who's I'm not going to name any names, somebody who's very well known in this space. Very good, amazing on the PR side of things. And we had a conversation, and it was like this. Because some of my friends who were ultra wealthy were just publicized as a new sponsor. And back then, we're talking a while ago, a long time ago, at the beginning of that organization and mine. The conversation was because we didn't know what kind of retaliations were going to be happening. We didn't know. He didn't know. I didn't know. I felt like we needed to be doing this covertly and nationally.
Yeah.
He felt like it needed to be overt and international, as well as some national. I'm the opposite. I'm national, some international.
Yeah.
I do, at least a couple international mission trips and help free slaves in other countries and stuff. I won't say what countries, but I do that every now and then. But I focus in our own backyard, and I did this for years, 2.5, 3 years, and nobody knew.
Right.
I was dark with it, and I loved it. The only ones that knew were people who were close to me and the families themselves that I helped.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew. And
yeah, because you fell off the map. Because we had met a few years ago, and then you were gone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you resurfaced with adaptive ops. But, I mean, you were doing it the whole time, but that's when it was kind of public, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we did. I remember back when we met, I had you design a special speed holster for me, because I was a competition shooter.
Yep.
I did competition shootings and stuff back.
Yeah, and then you were just gone. And I knew you were doing some concealed carry every now and then, doing a couple classes here and there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah. So I remember that, but I hadn't put that together, that's what was going on.
Yeah, yeah. And then I got to a point where it's like, okay, I've spent a lot of my own money to answer the call for help, and it was starting to be more regular, and it's like, I need to become overt. I got to come out of obscurity now. And then we turned Adaptive Ops. Adaptive Ops LLC still exists. That's what I was operating under for all the trainings and everything I was doing that way. And then we created Adaptive Operations, which is the nonprofit.
Okay.
It is only for recovering rescue type stuff. And so money donated goes to that.
Straight to that.
Yep. And we keep it very compartmentalized and simplified to that's what it is. But anytime I'm doing something to make money, like trainings and things like that, it's actually through my LLC, for profit. So I brought it into the open and started needing the support so I could actually go out and start doing this. And but I'm not a marketer.
Yeah. Well, we've had a few talks, and I'm like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? And you're like, dude, I just want to go on missions and help people.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to worry. It's part of it, and it's a necessity to it, but that's not where your focus is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So on the marketing side, I do have some things that have started working that are kind of cool, but what would probably take somebody, an hour to create, it'll take me all day. So any of the TikToks or Instagram or Facebook posts, I bleed over them trying to create them. And it's like, why am I even doing this? I shouldn't even be here at this desk. I shouldn't even be doing this. I have calls for help.
Yeah.
I need to be out there. And it's like, I have to.
Right.
I don't have any option. I have to create some promotion because there are groups out there that are really good at the promotion side, and all the support goes that way. It just goes and goes. And I have people that are like, hey, they'll hear things, they'll hear me at stuff like this, and they're like, that is so awesome, I love it, I'm gonna go donate to so and so.
And you're like, wait.
And I'm like, what? I'm just gonna go back in the field.
Yeah.
And
So what, other than the giveaway, how would someone donate? Like when the giveaways, say they listen to this after, and we're talking September 17th, 2021.
Yeah.
So if you listen to it after that, what do they do to help you out?
Just from the website, we have
You can
a
just
way
donate
to
right
donate.
on there.
Yeah, and it's tax deductible. I had some really cool things happen last year, some breakthroughs that happened. I'd gotten a call out of the blue from Ted Nugent and his wife. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was working security, trying to make some money, and getting ready to go back out into the field, and I was working like crazy doing security work and just trying to make some money. And then they call me and they're like, hey, what's this trafficking stuff going on we're hearing about?
And you're like, wait, is this really Ted?
Yeah, he's like, can't I just round up some of my friends and, we just go and eliminate the traffickers?
It's not really how it works, Ted.
Yeah. So there's a lot you need to understand. And they've been really great friends. And Shemaine had a show that she created called Simply Shemaine. And she has a pretty big social media presence, and she does a lot of interviews. And so she had me come on, and I even came down into her studio.
That's awesome.
And a couple of her friends, particularly one of her friends, Jessica Higdon, they have the Higdon Group, which is a worldwide network of business consultants, basically. And they're really smart and really awesome. And they decided to do a special fundraiser for Adaptive Ops. And that fundraiser brought in $75,000.
Wow.
And then the Higdons themselves were like, you know what? We're going to round it up. And they personally donated and rounded it up to $100,000.
Wow.
And then I have other friends that have been paying attention, professional, associations. There was a girl that we helped recover for the family, and we needed to find a new type of safe house, a lockdown facility that could help. And we ended up finding the Christmas box house. And I was like, the what? The Christmas box house. They take in orphan children, and they do a lot of stuff. And then I find out that the author, Richard Paul Evans, is the one that founded that. With his first book, or one of his first books, he made a lot of money on it. And he's like, dumped it into this Christmas box house and started helping children. They've helped. They told me a number one time, but it's like over 100,000 children that they've helped.
Wow.
And that just complete. And he did a fundraiser too for his birthday. He's like, hey, Adaptive Ops needs a new surveillance vehicle. And because my surveillance vehicle, the transmission was starting to go out at the time. And I'm like, and we were friends, we were having dinner at a restaurant. And I mentioned that. And he's like, you know what? My birthday's coming up. So he did like a social media thing. Hey, for my birthday, we'll have the Christmas box house raise some funds, so donate for this. And he ended up donating $12,000 to go toward a mission vehicle.
Cool.
And that's where
this one comes from.
Yeah. I paid a lot more for this than that, but it was a great start in getting me a really great mission vehicle,
Yeah.
And so the last year has been nonstop missions. The chains came off because of that money, and I was out nonstop. And so I had some social media stuff coming on. I had a girl, an intern girl, Abby. She's completely amazing, and she created our first TikTok, and it got like over 1 million views.
Wow.
And the messages blew up. You know, it was completely overwhelmed with people wanting to help and with questions and things like that. And then, but nothing really ever brought money in. And the missions, I mean, when you get a call for help and you just go answer it, the money runs out pretty fast.
I would imagine.
It does. And so it lasted about a year of straight missions.
Yeah.
You know, this was not me going and doing security to build up and then go out and do missions. This was nonstop missions.
Yeah.
And plus the missions got harder in 2020 because of the face masks and the COVID issues. You know, I found myself in holding patterns in other cities and struggling to be able to break through the traffickers were evolving. They were adapting to what was happening, and it became easier for them. And it became harder for me. But I'm adaptive operations, right? And so I adapted as well, found my own disguises, found my own ways to do the work and to try to get more efficient with it. Oh, and by the way, the name Adaptive Operations, an operation is the missing person or the person I'm helping. So my case files are literally operation so-and-so, the person's name.
Got you.
And then I do multiple missions, intel missions that are investigating and things like that, everything until they are reunited with their family. That mission is not, or that operation is not closed until they're reunited, you know. And so adaptive, obviously, it's obvious what adaptive is. We adapt to the traffickers because the traffickers are adapting.
Yeah.
And so that's where the name comes from. Adaptive
that's cool.
Operations.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Man, since I heard you were doing this, I was trying, and I've told you this, like I was trying to get in, see what we could do, see how I could help with holsters, with gear, with your guys. And then when I saw the giveaway, I put into the giveaway. But then it hadn't even crossed my mind, and that's my fault. I heard that Voodoo's doing the rifle. Well, you came and told me Voodoo's doing the rifle. And I was like, man, well, why don't we just do a safe? And originally I was like, I've got a couple cheap ones we can throw in, make this work. And then like that night I went home and I was thinking about it, and I was like, what's going to bring attention? And I was going to do a cheap Browning. And I was like, Browning's a name, it'll bring attention, it's got validation. And then I just kept thinking, like, you're giving away a car, they're giving away a rifle. I think I should be able to give away a premium product as well. And that's when I had messaged you and it was like, dude, bag everything I've told you. We're doing this safe. We're doing this Fort Knox.
It was so awesome.
Yeah. I hope that it brings some recognition to it. I've actually got a phone call with Fort Knox tomorrow, which when this airs, it'll be today.
Okay.
I'm going to bring it up to see if there's anything they can do, or their social media or their email blasts or something like that, to try and get a link on your website or something on it too.
Yeah, it'd be so cool.
And anybody that's listening to this, I just have a hard time thinking that you can't scrounge up $20 to throw into the giveaway. and
it's $20 is sacred money to me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not out there playing with it.
The car, the gun, the safe, to me, and it is in no way disrespect for you guys, and they mean nothing to me compared to what I'm doing.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're so important too. You know, they're valuable. They're great, and the true value in what they are. To me, that safe, that gun, and that car are bringing more meaning than any other car, any other safe, any other rifle.
Yeah.
And whoever gets those items, when it comes to, I'm not as attached to the car as what you might think. The car is the car. But the moments in that car.
Mm-hmm.
The times where I thought, this is it. I'm not coming home. Or the times driving home, and I was like, I can't believe what just happened. I've seen the Lord's hand at work from inside that vehicle. When I say lives have been saved, there's no joke about that. And you know, whoever gets that car, they're probably just going to be, you know, they'll drive it. It'll be their grocery getter, you know, this fast, awesome
400 horsepower twin turbo.
Yeah. And they will never truly know the kind of stuff that car did.
Yeah.
That car should be put on a trophy.
Yeah.
It should be put in a museum. You know, and it's like, whew, people don't know, and they'll never know.
Right.
Everything. And so the car, my next vehicle is going to be the same thing to me. It's going to have special things happen in it. I have other vehicles that are having special things happening in them.
Yeah.
And so it's really not, oh, Aros is heartbroken because he's given up his car. I just really, really hope that it goes to somebody who truly understands what that is doing. And you know, the money had ran out from the other donations. It's like, okay, it went. I'm not like one of those other organizations that has $30 million in the bank.
Yeah, and money coming in.
I'm not that group.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not easy for me to raise money. And the families that I'm going out and helping right now in order to, like, doing these raffles, it is keeping me in the field. And the families that I am helping, there is no level of value that they're grateful. The appreciation that happens from that family, there is no dollar value in this. And so doing this raffle is helping. It's disheartening that the raffle hasn't gone large, but I'm not surprised. I'm not a marketer. Yeah. You know, but I'm doing the very best I can with it while staying in the field. We hoped it would have been a lot higher than it was, but it looks like it will reach that $30,000 breaking that point where it needs to be in order to do the raffle based on the official rules.
Sure.
It looks like we just might hit that.
Okay.
And I'm really hoping so, because I want it to be done on September 17th. And I mean, it's not a break even.
Right.
It's not. Somebody's getting awesome something really awesome. It might be somebody that donated $20.
Who's gonna get a car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but whatever. I mean, this has been a blessing to be able to do this, because if I didn't do this raffle, then I wouldn't be able to be in the field like I am right now.
Yeah.
Now, granted, just to, with just being completely open about it, Adaptive Ops started with no money. So if the money went away completely, guess who's still going to be around? Adaptive Ops.
Yep.
It's never going away.
Yeah.
I'm never going away. I'm not gonna stop doing this. I have a system down. I don't need money from others to do this. I need money from others so I can do it a lot more.
So you can do it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will. I mean, here's the curse. I don't go on vacation.
Yeah.
If I go on vacation, if I'm on the beach somewhere, I'm on a mission. I'm never not on a mission. I'm investigating and watching. I don't just go to other countries to do a vacation. Oh, that was a cool cruise. I ate so much. And if I'm there, I am putting a mission together. I don't believe I will ever be able to just go and do R&R without a plan, without some kind of plan, even if it's minuscule,
Yeah.
I'll do things, but I'm searching.
Yeah. Well, with the
Always.
training you've had, with everything you've had, I can't imagine how it's not just a light switch that you can shut off,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're observing people all the time, regardless of where you are, I'm sure.
Yeah. I never know. I mean, I run into traffickers that I've faced all the time, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I can't say two anymore because I ran into a pretty bad trafficker elsewhere since then. It used to be two of the worst traffickers I ever faced were right here in St. George.
Really?
But one of them, the nastiest trafficker I ever dealt with, was right here. And where I lift weights a couple years ago, he got put away.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple years ago, I was lifting weights, and he showed up at the gym.
After he was put away?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, he had gotten out. I just finished my workout, and I was walking out, and I saw him. We made eye contact, and I just walked straight out, set up quick surveillance, because this guy is not the kind that is going to be a repentant trafficker. He's going to keep going. And so I figured out which vehicle he's driving and his license plate, talked to my HSI friends from Homeland Security, just made sure that he's back, and he's, making sure he's on people's radar.
Yeah.
Because this dude is the most evil kind. And it was pretty uncomfortable
I bet.
to run into him again, in my home area. And
I mean, was he here initially? He was
Yeah.
here initially and then got put
Yeah.
away and came back, or got out.
yeah, but to cross paths with him, so easily.
Yeah, he's just acting like he's living an everyday life.
Yeah.
Dang.
I actually saw him again a couple weeks after.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a private probation officer here in the state of Utah as well. And so I have a caseload of probationers I manage. And so sometimes I go to the drug testing facilities to, check in and get results and things from probationers. And when I saw him in one of those facilities, he didn't see me there though.
Dang.
I observed him and was like, oh, man. Yep. But, so yeah, I stay observant. I don't let myself get crazy with it. I just establish a baseline, and I teach this in my training, that so you don't make yourself crazy. You just get used to establishing a baseline. If nothing's breaking the baseline, then you can, be at a lower level of situational awareness, but your baseline is always up.
Yeah.
If something breaks your baseline, then you are going to raise that level of situational awareness with that person, and make sure that they're not going to, do something to you,
Well, like when COVID hit and all the masks went on, I had heard that this was like a trafficking, or there was an uptick in trafficking. I mean, is that true? Is there what?
Yeah.
There's
There's a couple different things that I've seen significant changes in the industry. And that was a couple years ago when Backpage got shut down.
I don't know what that is.
Backpage is a website that traffickers were using. It was kind of like the Craigslist type of a thing. It's called Backpage, and they were
I guess that's good. I don't know what it
selling
is.
they were selling their girls on that.
Okay.
And boys, and Backpage got shut down. And when that happened, the traffickers were forced into the streets again. And I'm not going to say what city I was in, but I was in a big city back east, downtown, and it was 4:00 in the morning, and I walked into a Denny's, and I got surrounded by 3 different traffickers and their girls. And one of the girls looked well underage, and it was a crazy situation. Like it was a stare down.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching me. I could tell they were looking for signals because their customers know to use certain signals.
Okay.
And I wasn't giving the signal. And they didn't like that.
Why are you sticking around?
Yeah. And at the same time, I wasn't backing down. And then this lady, a madam, big lady, she was probably 6'3", a gigantic woman, stands up and kind of starts scowling at me and marching toward me. And she stops about 15 feet away from me. She's got her hands on her hips, and she's just staring me down with a scowl. Not saying anything. She's just, and I'm standing there looking at her like, trying to wrap my mind around what is she doing? Does she want me to give a signal? Is she is she wondering, whatever. And then this great big giant dude gets up and comes and stands behind her, and he looked like he came right off the Miami Dolphins line or something.
Jeez.
And he comes and stands right behind her, and as she looks at him, and he walks and tries to get behind me. He comes and gets beside me. I put my back kind of against the wall, and I'm ready to draw. Says I'm in danger. This dude could conk me in the head and take me out pretty quick. And so I'm ready to defend myself, and he's just staring at me, and she's looking at him like, "Are you gonna do something?" And he didn't. It was like a standoff, right?
Yeah.
And then she just throws her hands in the air and storms out, and he followed her. I was like,
"Oh my gosh!"
And so I went out with them, and then went and got into a different surveillance position and just observed what was happening. And they literally had girls standing. They would be in their cars, and they'd have the girls get out, stand by the trunk at this facility in the parking lot, and the Johns, the customers, would pull in, drive slowly past the girls, eyeing them, and then drive around and leave. If they were interested, they would stick around. If they weren't, they'd go somewhere else. And so it's like a shopping market.
Yeah.
And if a girl is not being picked up, they switch them out.
Like, here's your product.
A car pulls up, picks up that girl, drops another one off, and goes, and then these same cars come driving through again.
Really?
Maybe you're interested in this one. Not that one, huh? How about this one? Is this one your type? So when Backpage got shut down, they were forced to the streets. With the masks, it definitely changed the way that they're able to hide their girls or to move through areas. It was so much harder to find people, and so I'm grateful for the amount of people I did find. But if it was 2019, there would have been a lot more. But the face masks definitely made it a lot harder, and people they were forced online a lot more, too. Less on the streets and things.
What about I know like big events like Super Bowl, like NBA Finals, NBA playoffs, sporting events, things like that bring in a lot of things.
Yeah.
What should we be looking for just the everyday thing to tip off that, maybe a girl is kidnapped and with a trafficker and things like that? I mean, what's something an everyday person could notice and call in?
So everybody has their natural instincts. If something just doesn't seem right, there's the Polaris organization has the human trafficking hotline. And that number is pretty easy to memorize if you strive to memorize it. But otherwise, it's 888-3737-888.
Okay.
I just think of 3737, and I know there's 3 8s before, 3 8s behind. So it's 888-3737-888.
Okay.
I've had to call the human trafficking hotline when I've had a survivor, a girl that we just got away from her trafficker, and we didn't have anywhere to take her, and I would call them, hey, I need a safe house, a level 1 safe house ASAP, and they're like, okay, what state are you in? What states are you willing to go to? And they start making a lot of calls and trying to find some place for me, and so they've been awesome that way with trying to help and stuff, but they also log that information. It's a check mark to something that's happening in what state. And so they have their numbers of calls for help from girls or from, situations like that. And they keep the statistics.
Just to be more alert in that area, and
it goes toward
timestamp it all.
Intelligence, future intelligence and stuff like that for law enforcement and those of us who are practitioners in this field. But even if you just saw something, you're at a restaurant and there's a man with a child that something's breaking the baseline. It doesn't look like a happy child. Something's just not right. It doesn't look like the dad, or they just don't seem like they belong. If you're just not quite sure, but you don't feel like it's an immediate emergency, you can report it to the human trafficking hotline.
Okay. So that's the thing. Like, there's no shame in calling something into that and make them aware of it.
You'll find that they're helpful. They'll probably thank you for reporting it. They're not going to be like, "Are you some kind of idiot?
Right?
Why would you call about that? Don't you know this is where?" They're not going to do that to you. Just call and say, hey, there's something that just doesn't quite seem right.
I mean, that's good information, because I could see how people would be like, do you call 911? Do you call, like, what are you supposed to do? And then probably nothing ends up happening.
However, on what you're saying, if it looks like they're in distress, call 911.
Sure. Let them
Officers can come and do a wellness check, just question the child and the man, and try to validate it.
Yeah.
But that's not foolproof either.
Sure.
I mean, the traffickers know how to navigate that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be out in the public.
It'd be better than doing nothing, though.
That's right.
Yeah.
They might slip up and reveal something.
Last thing I want to talk about is how is there not some type of government funding for what you do? Or maybe is there? I mean, I just don't understand. For all the stupid stuff that the government pays for, how is this not something that they can fund? I mean, we're not talking about millions and billions of dollars here.
Yeah. That's a good question, and I have things inside, answers where I want to be, you know,
Or is it just is what it is? You know what I mean? I mean, maybe
Yeah.
there is no answer.
I want to be facetious with some of the things. I'll tell you a couple things. You know, it's just like what Ronald Reagan said, how he was like, hey, you know, the worst things you could hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
And I say that loosely because there are amazing government programs and laws for countering human trafficking, amazing law enforcement that are doing really good work, and there's amazing agents in other larger law enforcement organizations that are doing this work, and they're amazing. Okay, they can be amazing. What you have to understand is these traffickers understand the criminal procedure process. They know how to frustrate it. They know how to teach their girls, to groom their girls and boys to know how to talk to law enforcement. I taught law enforcement for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And you know, helping these students prepare for the Nevada Academy, you know, getting them ready. And the police officer's job is to initiate the criminal procedure process. Find the crime, figure out who did it, and get them started in the criminal procedure process, the criminal justice process.
Mm-hmm.
And then they move on to the next one. If they have to go back and testify, then you know, that's what they'll do. But they typically move on to the next case. When they're called in, they're looking for the crime. Okay, we found a crime, human trafficking. All right, now we need our witnesses. Okay, we have the witness with this girl was the victim, and okay, she's a drug addict.
Yep.
Oh, she called us for help a couple weeks ago, and then we went and helped her, and then she decided to backtrack on what she said. Well, okay, she wants help now. Okay, how are you? So you're gonna help her, and then they're calling their supervisor. Hey, I've got so and so again. They're calling for help. She's claiming that she's being trafficked by this guy, and okay, let's help her out. If they make the arrest, now she's willing to testify, and then she flips.
Right.
She's no longer a good witness anymore. Now the law enforcement guys and girls are stuck.
Yeah.
How do they do their job when that's happening? You know, and so you can't blame them. You can't look at it as, why isn't law enforcement doing anything about it? They're doing the very best they can. The traffickers have been doing this far longer than those of us that are countering it. They really have, and they know how to use the Constitution to protect their own personal privacy rights.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't want those personal privacy rights to go away in general, because those are our rights. But they know how to navigate that. That's where organizations like mine come in, because sometimes there's just not going to be a prosecution or conviction. But a family still needs reunited. If I treat every case as a crime scene.
Yeah.
If there is evidence that could be preserved, then I will absolutely make sure that law enforcement can come in, collect that evidence on their own, not that it came from a third-party nonprofit organization. It was them. They collected it. Then I will absolutely make sure that happens. But most of the time, it is my purpose to reunite the family, because she's not going to testify, or there's no way to prove what that guy did to her, because he was very savvy, followed the book, which they do teach each other, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they know how to not get convicted. And so so it just goes through like that. And so I focus on helping them. Now, I don't believe there is the money that that government has for countering human trafficking. It's going to go toward law enforcement, and rightly so.
Yeah, which it should.
Teaching them, right, helping them understand how to counter the trafficking, then use the funds for setting up their own sting operations and things like that. A private organization like myself, it complicates the criminal procedure process. And so for government funds to go toward a rescue organization, the liability is through the roof. If they were the ones that funded it and something bad happened, just the liability is crazy with that. And so they do have funding that they send out towards safe houses and the aftercare side of it and education. But I think they focus mostly on the rescue side would be for law enforcement, where they send the money. At the same time, getting a grant would change my ability.
Okay.
Grant money just doesn't come.
Right. Comes with
with a new boss.
Yeah.
And that boss is going to tell you what you can and can't do.
So, I mean, really, when it comes down to it, you would rather have it function as it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to be able to have the freedom to be able to operate. Really, if I could just go dark and never report to anybody and just go out and help families be reunited and just keep doing that forever and nobody ever knows about it but the family and myself, sure, then that would be ideal. That would be the dream. And if I could develop others to do it like me, if somebody had that call, and they're like, you know what, I don't mind living on protein and water. I don't mind sleeping in a hot car
with sweaty Aros.
No, not with me, in their own car. However, I have thought about building like bunk beds, like a van and
conversion van or something.
Yeah, it's like, okay, team, let's go.
Maybe put a shower in there.
Yeah, but even that would, you got to get into areas. Yeah, you got to get into areas where your vehicle needs to look like a kind of a normal vehicle and stuff. So I have multiple vehicles that I use for different types of missions.
Sure.
But and I don't want people to just be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna start training and practicing on this.
Yeah.
There's other dangers that they need to know. And I'll tell you right now, you're on your own. The stuff I've said does not give anybody out there authority under what I said to go and do this. I am not empowering you to go do this in my name at all.
Sure.
You are at your own risk with this. I'm at my own risk with everything I do. You're at your own risk. One of the incredible dangers that I face is sleeping in my vehicle. I'm very mindful about the environment, on like the conditions of the environment where I'm at. Is there a breeze? Is the air still? Is there no breeze? Nothing. And is it hot or is it cold outside? If it's hot, there's no air.
Right.
And my car is running to keep me cool at night. The carbon monoxide will sit around your car and be sucked into your car. Same with the cold. If you're cold, or if it's cold outside and you need your car to be running, there's no air outside, it'll kill you.
Interesting.
And so these are the types of things that I deal with out there, you know, and the other night was that situation. It was hot and there was no air. I tried to park where at least maybe, you know, like on kind of a little bit of a hill where maybe exhaust or air can move, but I tried it, and sure enough, the exhaust smell was all the way around my car. I had to sleep in the heat. You know, I went and drove around to a different spot and then shut the car off immediately. Slept in the heat.
Wow.
You know, and it's
water and protein's one thing, but you still have all the elements that you got to deal with. Dang, man.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the missions are it's not, it's not a cakewalk, you know, but hopefully nobody goes out and gets themselves hurt or killed. And
saying, I heard this one podcast this one time, and this guy was talking about it.
We are not responsible for you out there.
Yeah.
With anything we say, we are not responsible for that.
Well, I think that kind of covers a lot of it. Is there anything else you want to add to it? I think we've we've covered a lot.
Yeah, we can, and I mean, we could probably go on for days.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of gets, like, you know what you're doing, you have the background, you've been through it, you've gone through the steps, and this is what you're doing, and this is how we can support you. I feel like that's kind of been the goal that I've set for this.
Yeah, I think you did a good job with that.
Yeah, and I think that, and I really appreciate the stories and everything that you've shared with us. I know what I do know about you. I know it's kind of hard to open up and because you don't want to be glorified. You don't want to have any of that, and I understand that. And I was trying to be mindful of that, so I hope that I did a good job for you. Anyway,
I think it was good. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Really, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for coming. We'll list everything with the website.
Okay.
I'm going to put another $300 in for the giveaway. I'm also going to put another $300 to boost it, and we'll try and get this out to as many people as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tax write-off.
Right.
We're coming up close to the end of the year. If you have a business, if you have anything like that and you need a tax write-off, it couldn't be more noble cause to get behind. I mean, I don't believe that. I don't believe that there is a better cause. I mean, so anything you guys can do would be great. We'll have links on everything. If you're watching any part of this, there'll be a link at the bottom. You're on TikTok. You have a huge following on TikTok.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, Adaptive Ops and my personal one. And the reason I went to TikTok is because there's a lot of predators there, and there's a lot of people being victimized in TikTok. And we thought, you know what? Let's get over there and start educating people.
I love it. Like when you said that, when you told me initially you were on TikTok and you had a following, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, that'd be the perfect place to go.
Yeah. People are like, oh, do you do those little dances and stuff? It's like, no, I'm there for education.
You're like, I'm not saying I won't ever do it, but so yeah, go follow his TikTok. We've just started a TikTok too. I'll have Mallory send you the little clips that we'll cut up so you can post them if you'd like.
Okay.
And we'll tag you in all of our stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, dude, anything I can ever do in the future, please reach out.
Yeah, you've always been amazing in Weapon X holsters, like your other business. I mean, you've always been helpful. I think you donated that speed holster to me. I don't remember if I paid for it. You built me the speed holster for competition shooting.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I need it to be just like this.
Yeah.
And so you've always been helpful toward the cause, and so I mean you're awesome, so thanks. I really appreciate your friendship.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's it, guys. We'll wrap it up. Please share this one. This is going to be a big one to share. I really it means a lot to me to help Aros from day one, from I've heard his mission. If you've got this far in the podcast, you know what it means to him, and you know the passion he has for it. So please like, share, rate, 5-star everything. We only accept 5 stars. Let's see what else. Comment, stories, all that stuff.
AdaptiveOps.org.
AdaptiveOps.org. So that's the website you can go on to donate. And if you're just curious more about what's going on, there's information on all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking the time.